Hello and welcome to a new episode of Where No Pod Has Gone Before, a science fiction podcast. I am your host, Julian,
And back again as your co-host, my name is Titan.
and a very exciting one today because we are going to be talking about the movie that everyone's talking about, it seems, and that's Project Hail Mary, as directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller. Obviously, it's a new release. Tremendously exciting, I think. I was very
Yeah.
excited for this film. I think you were too. I had to kind of build up your hype a little bit, it felt like,
Yes,
behind
yeah.
the
I mean,
scenes.
I also had one or two other friends who were a little bit into sci-fi, also building up the hype. So I started hearing about it from various different sources, and then obviously heard that it's Andy Weir, who is the Martian, right?
Yes, yeah.
And I mean, I remember the hype for the Martian. I think we were probably in final year of high school or something. It was like end of
We
high
actually
school.
went all as a big group.
Exactly, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And I was sort of, I was hyped for it, but I wasn't expecting so much from The Martian. Like I wasn't expecting that much.
yeah,
And I remember walking out the cinema like, oh my god, this was fantastic
yeah,
sci-fi. So I was expecting the same from this movie, right? I was like expecting, okay, this better be bloody brilliant. And
yeah,
I don't think I was disappointed. I think I walked out the cinema like, whoa, okay, yeah,
yeah,
no, that was pretty much what I was expecting.
yeah. It hit the spot. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
And I think just a little bit about Andy Weir. I think he's built this reputation as like science accurate
yes, sort of
in his
hard
writing,
sci-fi, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
which I'm not entirely sure I agree with,
me
because
neither.
I think that what he really does is he takes like standard sci-fi setups and then applies rigorous scientific
Yes,
thinking to that to make
yes,
it work. So The Martian is very simple. The guy's got to survive, and we got to get him off the planet.
yeah,
But there's an incredible level of scientific work and thinking and execution that has to
yeah,
happen for those things to happen, and that's the excitement, right? So
yeah,
what I knew
yeah,
about this going in was sun is dying, lone astronaut wakes up with amnesia, has to solve the problem. Really terrific
right.
setup, exciting, especially if you know what you're going to get from that author. You're going to get facts and figures. You're going to get real emphasis on science itself.
Yeah.
Again, this movie is not scientifically accurate
No, no. I think it's I
with
think
its setup.
it's expertly done technobabble, right? I mean,
Yes, yeah, yeah,
it sounds scientifically accurate, and there's a lot of scientific detail, but it is definitely stretched, right? It's based in science, but it's still absolutely science fiction.
yes,
I mean, the Martian was a little bit more scientific, but even there, they took some liberties, right? So, yeah, he makes it sound very scientific, I think, but.
yeah,
The science, although I suppose it's what sci-fi is supposed to do, right? It makes you think about the science, even if it's not 100% accurate. It makes you speculate and wonder. And I mean, there's one problem that I've been, I only watched this movie. I think it was 12 hours ago or something like that. So I've been trying to turn this one problem over in my head, and I haven't quite gotten it yet. But I'm sure we'll talk about that. Yeah.
yeah. Just a word on the book, which I read in advance of seeing the film. I think I told you behind the scenes that I was having a problem with the writing style,
Yes.
and I don't think I ever got over that. It is very kind of Facebook dad type of humor. And a lot of stuff where like he's doing calculations and then it's like, and then I do this calculation, brackets, man, science is cool. It's a little,
Right.
it's very
Yeah. Yeah.
dorky. It grates a little bit. But then I was thinking about it with the film, and then I realized that the book itself is a blockbuster, right? It's not a piece of high art. It's
Yes.
blockbuster
Right.
literature. It's mass appeal. It's
Right.
it's big emotions and it's a plot delivery system, right? It's
Yes.
not, you're not there for the prose or ornate detail in the writing or anything.
Right. Yeah. I suppose he's probably trying to get you to sort of picture yourself in the situation, right?
Yeah, yeah,
It's sort
yeah,
of like, it's almost like a script for you, as if you're performing in the movie yourself.
yeah. Um, and in that way, I kind of softened on it a little bit. I mean, I definitely softened when the big thing happens that really sets the story off.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I would actually recommend the book specifically to people who like reading or want to get into reading, but who struggle with the attention span. It is a very fast paced, very easy to read,
Right.
very
Yeah.
quick to get through.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I was going to try and read this book before the movie. I would have been keen to, but I think having watched the movie, I'm still as keen to read the book as I was. Right, like I don't think I'm not going to read it now because I know what happens. I actually want to explore the detail and the science and everything a little bit more because I've
yeah, it's all
already
there.
heard. Yeah, I've heard a little bit about it, and I'm sure I'll ask you more. Is that they really get into like the details and the grits and everything of the science. Whether
Yeah,
it's perfectly accurate or not is irrelevant. He does get into the details, so I'm excited to still probably get to it at some stage.
yeah. Obviously, this is not a pod about the book, but it is a nice foundation, and I'm always interested in adaptation, like just
Right.
the choices that are made, because um, I think most people fall into the trap of saying that like you have to be accurate to the book always. Whatever changes you make, it's
Right.
a bad decision because people get so
Yeah.
attached, right? You do the physical effort of reading, you create in your imagination all the environments, all the characters,
Exactly. And then they go and
so you
change it
get
in the movie,
attached. Yeah,
right? Yeah. No. No.
yeah.
Exactly. 100%.
Um, but I always think like when you're whatever you're doing, you have to work in service to your medium and the story that you're making. So they made
Yeah.
a film that's 2.5 hours with the story. Everything
Yeah.
that you have to do has to honor that you're making a film for people to watch, right? And I'm quite
Yeah.
interested in um, some of the choices that they made here,
Okay.
which we can talk about.
I
But
mean, on the whole, do you think it was a a good adaptation?
yes,
Okay.
good adaptation, quite faithful. I
Okay.
think plot wise, there's not much
Right. Yeah.
left behind. I think there's one divergence plot
Okay.
wise that I'll bring up that I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay. Yeah, I can
Um,
imagine. I mean, most of what they would have left out from the book is the details and the sort of figuring things out and everything. I mean, I heard that apparently there's a lot more about like the interaction between the main character and the guy he meets, and like figuring things out and all
yeah,
of that. Obviously, most of that you don't want to sit there in a movie watching all the little details and all the internal monologue and figuring things out and everything. You sort of want to get on to the next bit.
yeah. But I think in The Martian they did very well to.
Mm.
They had a lot of that. I've only seen it from that time we went to the cinema, but I
Oh,
remember it
right.
being very uh, into the weeds on the science and stuff.
Yeah, no,
So
it
you
was. I
can do
mean,
it.
yeah,
You can do
yeah,
it. Um, but let's get into the film itself, and of course, there's going to be full spoilers in this discussion. So if you're keen to see the film and listen to the pod, go see the film. We both highly recommend it.
yeah.
Go see it on the biggest screen you can. A
Yes.
real cinema joy. But yeah, let's get into the film.
I hereby grant you top secret clearance to Project Hail Mary.
What's Project Hail Mary?
The sun is dying. If we do nothing, everything on this planet will go extinct. This mission is what you Americans will call a long shot.
Hail Mary. I get it now.
Project Hail Mary, only theaters March 20th.
And of course, Project Hail Mary is directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, based on a script by Drew Goddard, and obviously based on the novel by Andy Weir. Yeah, Ryan Gosling makes best friends with an alien rock.
Yeah.
That's what happens here,
Yeah,
and it
absolutely.
is the best movie about friendship that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so. Yeah. I mean, fantastic acting from The Rock, right? I mean,
Yeah, well, I don't know if you know anything behind the scenes of that, but I believe there were four or
no.
five puppeteers. So this is a
Oh, no
physical
ways.
puppet in the room with him. I would
What?
guess.
I would never have guessed that.
So obviously there's going to be digital touch-ups
Yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff,
of course, of course.
but
Yeah.
um, I've read and watched a few interviews before this, not many, but as I understand it, they placed a lot of emphasis on having um, a scene partner for Ryan Gosling, someone to
Right.
act against, and then one of they call them the Rocketeers behind the scenes. One of the
Oh,
Rocketeers,
awesome.
James Ortiz, uh, was the one who was just happened to be reading the lines, and then eventually became the voice performance because
Ah,
they developed such a chemistry, him
okay.
and Ryan Gosling, and
Wow.
yeah, I mean the chemistry absolutely translates
It
to the big
does. I
screen.
mean, yeah, you do absolutely believe that this rock is a character and
Yeah,
a conscious element in the whole thing. Absolutely.
yeah. But backtracking a little bit, so Ryan Gosling is an astronaut, Dr. Ryland Grace, who wakes up in deep space with amnesia on a spaceship with a mission that he doesn't understand. Um, and immediately I was struck by the comedic tone. There was more emphasis on the comedy of the situation.
Right. Yes.
They definitely went in a more physical comedy way.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Obviously, in the book, he's uh, he's trained, but he doesn't remember his training. But he does actually have the astronaut training. Um, but
Okay.
for a film that has this kind of mass appeal for families and everything, I think it was a good choice, and it would
Yeah.
be. Um, I've heard astronauts from the International Space Station say like zero gravity is not this beautiful. Like you float around and you
Right.
pick the pen up and like 2001: A Space Odyssey, you're always bumping into things and hitting your toe and
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
messy
very
and it's
clumsy.
difficult. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I was also, I thought there was a lot of comedy in this film, right? I mean, it was there were laughs
yeah,
all the time, and I sort of thought maybe it's a little bit much. The thing is, though, I think most of it landed, right? Like, I think most of it was actually quite funny. I did laugh at most of the jokes and comedic moments that they made. So it wasn't jarring as such, right? It wasn't like, oh, they're trying to make this film funny when it's not supposed to be. It did kind of work for me.
yeah, and that's interesting because I think it is the same um, branch of humor that's in the book where
Okay.
that grated me. Like I was like you, I actually laughed at 90% of the comedic
Okay.
moments
Right. Yeah.
in the film, and I do think like Ryan Gosling is one of the best uh, comedy actors around. I mean, he was
Yeah.
Oscar nominated for Barbie, for crying out loud. He
Right.
completely steals that film.
Oh, he
Um,
ate that roll up. Absolutely.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
yeah,
I was wondering. I mean, when was this book? Do you know when the book was actually written? Was it written after the Martian movie?
yeah. So the book came
Okay.
out 2021, I believe.
Ah, okay. Because then, I mean, I'm wondering, it was probably written with the fact that it would be turned into a movie, right? Like he probably
Yeah.
had that in mind.
So that I know there was an interview I watched with Ryan Gosling, and there was a tidbit I picked up on where he said like, yeah, I was reading the manuscript for this book, and I couldn't put it down. I was like, he was reading the manuscript, so obviously he, as a producer, he got early access and then
Oh, I
bought
see.
the rights
Right.
already or something like that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Um, but yeah, I think after the success of The Martian, which was just
Yeah.
like a smash hit, like it would be foolish not to get what the next thing this guy does
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, in house. Yeah, so he's in space. He's alone. He doesn't know what he's there for. But we learn through flashback that the Earth is dying. Well, sorry, the sun is dying, which has dire consequences for Earth, and the sun is being eaten by a cellular life form called astrophage.
Yeah.
Are we okay on these details so far?
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot to say about astrophage, because I mean, I don't know if you want to carry on a little bit more about it, but because he obviously looks at it in the lab, right?
Yeah.
And it's all black and whatever, and then eventually he's able to turn it clear or whatever. Now, this is something I didn't quite understand from the film, but I believe that they talk a little bit more about it in the book. Is that the reason why these things are black is because they absorb all of the energy that is coming onto them, that is incident upon them.
Yeah.
So that's why they are 100% black. And that's sort of their whole trait, what makes them so amazing, and also why they're able to eat the sun, is that they absorb all the energy. Now, obviously, that's I would say that's probably the most unrealistic scientific detail of the book. I mean, obviously, it has to. They have to make that up in order to make the whole story. But I mean, they describing near perfect energy to mass conversion, as far as I understand it, right? So, like, this thing absorbs 100% of the energy that is on it. That's why it's black. And I mean, firstly, this would be probably the most groundbreaking discovery in history. Like, I would be like, don't make a spaceship, make a power station. And I mean, if you're able to do that, I don't think you need the sun. Let it eat the sun. You can make your own power. I mean, there's so much unexplored there that if you're able to do 100% efficient energy to mass conversion, I mean, Jesus, all our problems are solved. And the fact that it's coming from a biological organism, you know.
Everything you're saying is expressed in the book. It's like, wow, this is unbelievable.
Okay,
we should use this for energy here. And they do, because obviously they have to breed so much for the ship. But the accident later on with the astronauts, where they're training, where they want to set off a reaction with 1 nanogram, I believe it is, but they accidentally get a milligram. That actually tells Earth that, like, okay, that you actually can't mess with this. This is too dangerous. Right. So it is all touched on there.
Okay.
But you're right. I mean, astrophagy is the kind of the big leap that you have to take with this. But even with that, I love the kind of idea that it's wonderfully thought out. Like, if the sun dims a percentage, we're completely screwed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I loved it as well when they sort of zoomed out a little bit, because when they first explained it, like, oh no, there's this thing from Venus to the sun, whatever, I was like, okay, bit of a strange concept. But then when they sort of described it as like a section of the galaxy being infected by this plague, right, that made a lot more sense. I was like, oh yeah, that's sort of, I can roll with that. Like, that makes sense, that there's this infection spreading across the stars, right? And you would absolutely, I mean, from an astronomy perspective, looking at a star, if it dims by a tiny percentage, you'd absolutely pick that up. That is how we detect exoplanets, for example. When a tiny little exoplanet passes in front of another star, it dims the star by 0. whatever percent, and we're able to pick that up. And from that, we're able to decide what the planet's made of, how big it is, etc., etc. That's how significant that tiny little fraction of dimming is. So, yeah, no, interesting concept.
Yeah, and of course, it's not mentioned in the film, but you can follow, because astrophages move by expelling, I believe it's infrared light, that they travel at near light speed. And that's how they're able to get around. I can see you try to work it out. That's how they're able to get around so much. But it's a nice problem for a science fiction film.
Yes,
story. And when you're looking around the galaxy, there's one star that's unaffected. Okay, what's going on there? We got to go find out. And that's why Dr. Grace is there. And of course, when he's there and he's in the Tau solar system, he meets an alien ship.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think that concept just straight away is fantastic because, of course, another intelligent civilization would have done the same thing. They would have looked at all the other stars and they would have also noticed this one that isn't affected. And they say, right, well, let's go there as well, right? It's the same logic that we've had. So I love that concept that he gets there and, oh, look, a fellow traveler.
Yeah. And I love the kind of space dance that they do where he's like, nope, I'm getting out of here. And it always follows his movements perfectly.
Yes, yeah.
Very comical, the bit where he gives like 3 minor like power thrusts,
Yes.
and then Rocky ship does the same thing. But yeah, I mean the thing that we're here for is Rocky, right?
Yeah.
A little story. So I was trying to convince my my girlfriend, my beautiful, amazing girlfriend, because she's gonna listen to this one. I was trying to convince her to come watch the film with me. I was like, Ryan Gosling's gonna save the world, astronaut with amnesia, and she was like, yeah, sure, whatever. She's not a big sci-fi person,
Right.
and I was like, do I break the seal on Rocky, because he's in all the trailers, right? So then I was like, okay, fine.
Right.
I showed her a trailer that was pretty heavy on Rocky, and she was like, yep, okay, we're going.
Right.
So, it is what everyone is there for, and
yeah.
When they meet, it's just fantastic stuff. I love the kind of the slow process of it all. You have to figure out what you're saying to each other. And,
and I mean, I love this because I mean, this is a sort of problem that I've just done it's sort of like a thought experiment that I've done myself many times over the years, just for fun, right? Like, what's the guarantee that if you meet an alien, that they're even able to see stuff, right? Like in invisible light or whatever light. What if they don't see with radiation, with light? And so, you can't just show pictures or whatever, because that's, you immediately what you think of as a human, you're like, okay, we can't speak the same language. I'll make sign language or pictures or whatever. But it's always been an interesting problem to sort of mull over. Like, how do you communicate with something if you've got absolutely nothing in common? And I thought this was quite a good way of sort of getting into that. Like, oh, he can't see. Okay, now I've got to go and make the little numbers on the clocks. Not visual, but tactile, right? So I thought that was a really interesting exploration of that concept.
Yeah, and I mean, Rocky does a similar thing, right? So that separator in the tunnel obviously has all these different panels on it, right? And Grace chooses the one that he can see through, right? So Rocky is saying is giving him the choice of which one is best for communication, right? That's the whole point of it. That's the only one that he can see through is the one that he accidentally chooses
at the bottom or something, right?
Yeah, and you can see that they're all different textures and shapes and colors.
That's fantastic. I didn't think about that at all. Yeah.
And with Rocky himself, or themselves, I believe the species is hermaphroditic,
right?
But Rocky, we can call him a he.
Yeah.
A thing that kind of broke my brain a few years ago was I saw this Neil deGrasse Tyson clip, and it was about like alien designs in science fiction, and he's like, they're always like, you think they're weird, but they're actually always very similar. Like E.T. has shoulders and elbows and fingers and eyes, and everything is kind of in the same place to us. And the Avatar movies, like, they're just stretched out people. They look the same.
Yeah, they still humanoid shapes. Yeah.
And when he was saying, like, you have no idea what alien life could look like. It could look so like completely different and yeah, alien to us.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
um, it always bothered me when I would get engaged with sci-fi from that point forward. It's like, why do they?
right.
It's just an actor in a suit, and
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
at least Star Trek explains it, right? But
Exactly. Star Trek explains why they're all humanoids. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, because
but
they realized at some point they're like, okay, all of our aliens just look like people. We need to address this. Yeah,
yeah,
and I mean something which I'm sort of hoping they might have touched on in the book is when Grace is still on Earth. He's recruited because he's the guy who decided, which I thought was a fantastic little science point as well. He decided that not all life has to be water-based or carbon-based, right? And then obviously he examines astrophage and he's like, well, damn, it is carbon-based. But Rocky to me is quite clearly not carbon-based, I would say. I reckon he's probably a silicon life form, being rocky and all of that.
Well, he breathes ammonia.
Yes,
I do
right.
remember a point in the book where where Grace is like, "Oh hell, up yours, I was right." But obviously he's
Okay.
12 light years from Earth, so he can't glow to anyone. But I do
Right,
think
yeah.
that's in there. Yeah, I love how out there Rocky is, and
Yeah.
for the most part, everything is expressed really well about how he does things in the film. There was one bit where it was like, okay, and it's when they're saying goodbye at the end, and Rocky
Yeah.
turns around and kind of nods, and it's like Rocky has 360
Right. Yes.
sensory,
Yes.
feeling and everything. He doesn't need to turn around.
He
can
doesn't
see
need to turn
Grace
around.
is
That's the whole
waving.
point of the design, right? Yeah.
But yeah, their interaction in the beginning is really fun and interesting, and you yourself are thinking like, oh, how would I do this? And
Exactly.
yeah.
You sort of like, how do we work this problem? Like, oh shit, he can't see anything. What would I do now? And then you're like, that's a great idea, Ryan.
Yeah, but then we have to get to the point where he develops this speech program, right?
Yes,
So
right.
he's able to translate the chords of Rocky's kind of whale speak and create a vocabulary. And this is kind of a painstaking thing in the book, but obviously in the film you kind of
Yes.
you're speeding up the process a little bit. You're cutting around.
Yeah, I mean, they sort of show what he does, but they're like, okay,
Yeah.
just imagine that he does it all now, right? And you're like, okay,
yeah,
yeah,
that
cool.
he's there for days and days and days.
Yeah.
And obviously they're there for the same problem, right? And so you have Dr. Grace, who is a scientist, and Rocky, who's an engineer, right?
Yeah.
And together they can solve the problem, they hope, right? So from there, Rocky moves in, and
Yes. Yeah.
I think this is at this point he's fully voiced now, which is it's great, and he's running around Amaze Amaze Amaze. It's just
It's
the best guy.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And
In his little hamster ball. Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah, they're made of xenonite. What do you feel about xenonite?
Yeah, I should have actually looked into that. I mean, I suppose it's not that unimaginable. Obviously, yes, it's a gas on Earth, right? I mean, off the top of my head, I'm no chemist, right? But off the top of my head, I would think that, if it's a gas on Earth, then on a much colder planet, it might be a solid. But he obviously comes from a much hotter place.
Yeah,
and it's still
very
a
hot.
solid. So, I mean, the only way it would probably work for me is I think it must be a compound of some sort. It would have to be xenon something, right? It wouldn't be able to just be pure xenon. But yeah, I mean,
But it's a noble gas. It can't bond, right?
no, it can. I don't remember exactly how, but there are ways that a noble gas can bond. It's not the usual. As I said, I'm not a chemist. I don't remember this off the top of my head, but there are certain very specific, very exotic conditions where noble
Right.
gases can bond. So it is possible. It's not. It's not really possible on Earth with Earth conditions, but there are elements that we have made, like in LHC and everything, the Large Hadron Collider, that don't exist naturally on Earth, right? But we know that they can exist, and who knows, there might be a whole solar system made out of these elements somewhere,
Yeah.
with extremely exotic conditions. So, yes, basic preliminary scientific understanding says noble gases can't bond. But it's not a completely pseudoscientific stretch to say that they can bond. I would say that the more interesting thing is that it's a solid. I don't know how that would work, but
Yeah. I mean,
probably interesting to think about.
yeah. I mean, Grace is blown away by the stuff. So you're not alone there. But yeah, I mean, that's the stuff that Rocky uses. Excuse me, to build his little hamster ball, as you say,
Yeah,
and to build his tunnel system on the Hail Mary. And it's mentioned very quickly in passing. They're like, "Oh, our atmospheres are incompatible
yeah,
to each other." But I think we should like sit with that. Unpack it a little bit. Like Rocky's like ambient body temperature is like over 200 degrees Celsius,
right. Yeah,
and his atmospheric pressure is like 20 times ours, or something like that.
yes,
And he breathes ammonia, right?
right.
So they are like deeply, deeply, deeply
Extremely,
incompatible
yeah, 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 yeah,
with each
yeah.
other. That's something I wish that the film emphasized a little bit more,
Right.
because when Rocky saves Grace later on, I just wish it was clearer. Like I was with that
Yes.
scene. I was answering questions to my girlfriend afterwards.
Right.
Uh,
Like
so
why it all happened and everything.
yeah.
Right.
But we understand they can't physically interact.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think they mentioned it briefly in the film, something about the Goldilocks zone as well, right? Which, just to quickly cover it, I mean, the Goldilocks zone is supposed to be the ideal distance from a star where a planet can exist where there is liquid water, for example. And Grace was all about like, no, Goldilocks zone is for idiots or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's becoming more and more of a common idea in science as well. Like back in the 80s or whatever, it was like life can only exist in the Goldilocks zone. But already within our own solar system, we are wondering if life could ever evolve on Titan, for example, or Enceladus or something, which are very definitely outside of the Goldilocks zone. And so already we are starting to come up with the ideas that maybe not all life has to be water based, maybe not all life has to have oxygen. We initially were looking for those conditions, and obviously if we find a world which has got water and oxygen and in the Goldilocks zone, we're very interested in it because we're like, maybe that's life like ours. But we are definitely getting more and more used to the idea that, hey, maybe life doesn't have to be exactly like ours. I mean, for the most part, it has to be carbon based. There are ideas that it could be silicon based. Very impractical, but it could be. But other than that, it could, yeah, very easily breathe ammonia and not see anything or anything like that. So interesting concepts being explored.
Yeah. So yeah, Rocky's moved in, and they need to find a solution to the astrophage problem. And they go to a planet in the solar system which has a Petrova line. So the line,
Yeah.
a line, an infrared line from planet to the star and back, which in our solar system was Venus. So they go and investigate, and you and I have our backgrounds here, and we have these beautiful spacewalk scenes.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah,
I love a lot of the spacewalks as well as sort of often no music, sort of no sound, and also still. You know, they're often sort of like
yeah.
still and very wide.
Hmm.
Definitely sort of gives you a space, a sense of emptiness and space and loneliness and everything. I loved it.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so they're there to look at to study the astrophage, and what they find is that the same number of astrophage are going to the planet and the same number are going back.
Yeah,
Now we understand from the flashbacks that the astrophage go to carbon dioxide, a rich carbon dioxide source to breed. So
yes,
it would stand that there would be more going back to the sun to eat. Right,
yeah,
that's what it is. So this is obviously a very interesting problem, and they deduce that it probably has a natural predator. And reading this in the book, this was really exciting to me. I was like,
okay,
it makes so much sense.
yeah,
They
yeah,
figured
yeah,
it
yeah,
out,
yeah.
and it's so well thought out. Um, but they have obviously a big problem of studying this predator, and I think the film might have missed a beat here of explaining
Okay,
why they need to go into the upper atmosphere to do this.
right.
What were you wondering that,
I mean, I
or
don't think so. Obviously, it was the astrophage go into the atmosphere to breed, so there must be a predator within the atmosphere. So we need to go in there to get a sample of that predator, right?
right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. No, I
Um,
think I followed that. Yeah.
it was just that in the book, it was like a very specific level of atmosphere where
Oh, okay.
only um, where the astrophage were gathering, right? They could see on the petroscope that it
Okay.
was,
Right. Right.
but it's not a big deal, but
Yeah.
yeah, it felt a little quick to me.
Right.
But obviously, Rocky develops like a containment box or something
Yeah.
and builds a 5 kilometer
Yeah.
long
And
chain.
I was trying to imagine like you're with that work. I mean, geez, I reckon that would be quite catastrophic. I think to
In,
keeping a spacecraft in orbit. I mean, it could probably work, but I mean, for heaven's sake, it's quite a bit. I don't think you could just be able to, oh, let's drop a chain and figure it out. You know, I think it's quite a challenge.
no, I mean in the book it's 10 kilometers a chain,
Okay.
and they
Okay.
each build sections of it, and it takes them 2 weeks.
Oh, hectic.
Um, but in the book, like the maths of it, right? Why it needs to be that long, and the velocity and the angle of attack that the Hail Mary needs to be at during this it's all there. So I'm curious if that holds up, but it
Yeah.
passed the smell test when I was reading it.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, look, it's speculative at best, right? I mean, when you say like, does it hold up? With our current technology, no, absolutely not. Like, if you just took like the space shuttle or the Dragon or something like that and tried to do this, not a chance, right? Like, absolutely not. But you know, this is a relativistic ship, so it's obviously, you know, quite further in advancement than what we have at the moment. So you can sort of imagine. I think it's practically possible. Like if you had the right
right.
equipment, right?
Yeah,
It's not like a completely impossible thing to do. It's just we wouldn't be able to do it right now, but it's conceivable for sure.
right. Um, but this leads us to a kind of big action centerpiece of the film as the ship starts to struggle with the forces involved, and obviously Grace is outside, and he needs to run from one end of the ship to the other, right? And it's really effective and thrilling stuff. But I was there was a moment where I was like, wait, the music is really reminding me of Interstellar.
Yes,
Yes,
it was
there
actually.
was, yeah. Um, but yeah,
Yeah, it was.
um, it was a really fun action scene. I think Lord and Miller are really great visual directors. Just a word on them. So I don't know if you know what they've done.
No, not at all.
So you would probably know them best for the Jump Street movies.
Okay.
Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs was their debut,
Oh,
and the Lego movie.
beautiful. Oh,
And
okay.
they are co-writers and co-producers of the Spider-Verse films.
Oh, yes, I think that was on the poster.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, which are obviously like visually like
Yes.
completely like like mind shattering. Like
Yes.
you're so like overwhelmed
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
But
Okay.
this is them.
Right.
This is them showing off their chops. It's a really thrilling scene with some great genuine tension. But obviously, this culminates in an astrophage, a rupture in a fuel tank, and all the astrophage is escaping. But by escaping, they're creating a huge amount of thrust, creating a centrifugal force on the ship. And at that point, Grace is pulling, I think, something like 6 Gs or something.
Okay.
And he's not being
Right.
shut down. And this is when Rocky gets out and saves him.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, just a interesting bit of science there. I thought it was a brilliant move to, right, how do we counteract the centrifugal forces? We activate the centrifuge, right? And they had a scene there where, because this centrifuge sort of extends outwards, right, on a cable.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, the classic example of conservation of angular momentum is a figure skater when they're twirling around and they've got their arms out, and then their arms and legs out, and then they bring their arms and legs closer to their body. What happens? They speed up in their spin, and then if they extend their arms outwards, they slow down again. So what they were doing there in that scene is they said, okay, let's activate the gravity centrifuge, extend the spaceship away from its center of mass. It will slow down in its spinning. I thought that was a great little bit of physics.
Yeah, and about the ship design, it
Yeah.
is quite different from the book, but I thought really effective. This is a choice of where in both senses they're working really well. In the book, it's very simple. It's like the Tintin rocket. It's
Yes,
like
I think
tube.
I've seen pictures of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tube, and then the tube can disconnect and flip and make a centrifuge. Right?
Okay.
And so there are like
Okay.
3 compartments, like one above the other, and
Yes.
that's it. And it's so simple to understand when you're reading. It's not overwhelming. But
Right.
in the film, right, to express all this, they have like kind of 2 states of the ship. They have the kind of 0 G state,
Yeah.
and then like existing at a right angle to everything is
Yes.
the gravity state, so like the lab and stuff. I thought that was such
Yes.
a clever bit of design. It's like
Well,
you have
you
this
see,
whole
this is-
space that you can't access unless
Right. Yeah.
you're in centrifuge mode.
But you see, this is the problem that I've been trying to go over in my head.
Okay.
Is this a clever design or not? Because I mean, firstly, I can't remember. I'm trying to find
I'm arguing that it's clever for a movie where you have to
Okay,
express
right, yes.
how this works quickly, visually.
Right. Okay. So I'm arguing from a scientific perspective,
Yeah,
right?
of
So
course.
perfect. We're both bringing our things to the table here. I mean, firstly, maybe you can tell me which, because I can't remember which direction the actual the gravity part is facing. Is it facing? I mean, I don't know how to. Is it facing tangentially or normally to the rotation plane, if you know what I mean.
In the film.
Yes, in the film.
So you would
remember?
have the. This feels like are you like tricking me or something?
No. I can't remember. I've tried to find a picture of it and I can't see.
It's like a tube.
Yeah.
So it's like a tube that's going around.
Okay, but it's going around like that. Okay.
So obviously, like the surface that he's walking on would be like flat.
Right. Yes.
Like that, going downwards, I guess. Up
Yeah.
and downwards from this perspective, and then going around like that.
Okay, going around like that. Yeah. Okay, because I couldn't remember if it was going around in that direction or in that direction. If you can see on
this,
on
this
YouTube.
is great for an audio medium, by the way.
Yeah, I know exactly. But anyway, the problem with that is it would only be exemplified in the one. But so I mean, most centrifuges in science fiction are more like a ring, right? Which it sort of makes sense. This one was interesting because it was like a cable, right? And they used a counter mass to have this whole rotation. But it was you have a sort of what they often forget or what they never show because it's difficult to show in a centrifuge is, especially a small centrifuge, you still have Coriolis force in a centrifuge. So the example I was thinking of is, imagine if you're on a train, right? And you drop a ball. If you're sitting on the train and you drop a ball, the ball falls straight down. But if you're outside the train and you watch the motion of the ball, it falls in a parabolic curve, right? It actually moves forwards with the train, obviously. With a centrifuge, it's the opposite. So if you're outside the centrifuge and you watch someone drop the ball moves in a straight line from your perspective. But if you're inside the centrifuge and you drop the ball moves, I don't think it has to be parabolically, but the ball will move in a curve as it falls. Because you don't only have the centrifugal force, you also have a Coriolis force to the side. So they are both fictitious forces, but you experience them within the centrifuge. And I think this design of a centrifuge being so small and on a cable like that, especially with such a long gravitational section that they extend outwards, I think the Coriolis forces in that module would be quite extreme. Where, yes, you would. So it would, obviously they did it in the movie and in the story for the instruments, right? The scientific instruments have to have gravity to work.
Because they've been tested for decades and everyone knows that they work. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. But I think just from a pure human perspective, right? Like if you were to drop a ball, it wouldn't fall down to your feet. It would go flying off to the side because it's such a small centrifuge. So that's why they normally go with the ring design, right? You still have Coriolis forces there, but also if it's much larger, those forces get smaller. So it's not that it wouldn't work. It's just that, is it a really clever design? I'm still not sure of it. And I'm trying to figure out as well if there would be more extreme forces at certain points in that gravitational section. But that's why I was trying to decide which way it's oriented, because depending on which way it's orientated, you would have different Coriolis forces at different sections in that module.
Right.
Just I've only had a few hours to think about this, but I've really been trying to turn this all over in my mind.
And obviously that would affect
an interesting design.
That would affect results on certain instruments, right?
Probably, right? Because if they're dependent on gravity, then you've got an additional force, a sideways force.
Yeah.
So just interesting things to think about. I think at the end of the day, it's probably fine, but it definitely got me thinking. It's not just the straightforward centrifuge like in 2001, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely different design, and it comes with a whole lot of extra things to think about.
Yeah, I mean, so that sounds like maybe like a point that Andy Weir would have like run against and just been like, whatever.
Right.
You kind of can't get around it, right? So you have to make you have to make your sci-fi story.
Yeah, exactly. And also from a filming perspective, they don't want to. We're not going to. The reason we've made a centrifuge is so that we don't have to make zero gravity the whole time,
You
right?
don't
We're
have
not
to put
going
them
to
on
now
wires
make
all the-
and now we're not going to make Coriolis forces where things fall to the sideways and stuff. Like,
Yeah,
just
that's
shut
a good
up.
point.
You know?
Yeah. But yeah, from there, Grace wakes up, and this is probably the biggest divergence from the book, which is
Okay,
it's mostly been very accurate so far.
right.
Is that Rocky settles the ship, and Grace is he brings Grace to, I think, the medical robots. Grace is given medicine or whatever, and Grace wakes up and picks up Rocky's body and takes him back to one of his tunnels. Right, so he
Okay.
burns himself like quite badly all over,
Yes, yes.
and
Or,
has mild.
apparently he oxidizes. Because apparently, I mean, okay, which I suppose is burning, but like, because apparently I've heard that he was made of metal, right? And being in oxygen, raw metal in oxygen, he actually starts to oxidize. Which, yes, burning is a type of oxidization, but I sort of thought of it more as like catastrophic rusting.
I I don't know. I can't remember. Like, but I
Right.
know that his like his body uses like mercury or something.
Oh,
And like his blood has these special properties.
okay. Anyway, carry
But
on.
I just think for in the book, just for Grace,
Yeah.
it's just that the contact with something so hot, right, leaves burns,
Right.
and obviously when he opens up the xenonite enclosure thingy, he gets a full face blast of ammonia gas.
Oh, hectic.
Right, so this guy
Right.
kind of puts them out of commission for a few days, both of them,
Right.
and the
Yeah, because I mean, in the movie, I was like, okay, Rocky's obviously dead now. Right? Like I was like, I mean, the way that they filmed the whole thing, even
Yeah.
he was like speaking to Rocky as if, like you got to wake up, man, and like I as an audience member, I was like, okay, well, he's obviously not going to wake up. He's Grace is grieving now. He's like, you got to wake up, like even though he knows he's not going to. And then suddenly he did wake up, and I was like, okay. Is he tripping now? Like, is this a hallucination or what? Like, so yeah.
Yeah, it was a hard reset for Rocky there.
Right.
But they really speed run the breeding of nitrogen resistant Taumiba.
Right.
And they have to it takes them weeks, I think, in the book to do it, and they're doing it together, right? Rocky's already revived at this point.
Yeah, because it seemed like he did it in like a couple hours, right? He's like, oh, we need to make nitrogen resistant ones. Cool.
Yeah, I think it was meant to be days or something, but
right. Yeah. I mean, also, I didn't understand why they can't do that on Earth. Like you've got it now. Just go home. You can figure that out on Earth. Like.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I mean,
obviously, we want to stay with our main character, right?
Yeah, but they, excuse me, they do it very quickly in the film, and I do think that's mostly a wise choice, because it's quite boring to be like, okay, this tank is they're dead, so they're at 0.3%, and this tank is at 0.2%, so we'll go with this tank, and then we'll breed that tank, and then a very kind of painstaking, a boring, laborious process there.
Most of science.
Yeah. But they have Taumiba now for both of them, and they say goodbye. And I love the kind of saying goodbye, but you do it like 20 times, like at an airport or something. You're like, okay, bye.
Yeah, bye.
You turn around
bye
again.
Again. Yeah. No, I loved it as well.
Yeah.
You see, my one sort of, I don't know if I can call it a problem, but there were several times in the movie where I was like, oh my God, we finally said goodbye to Rocky. You know, like I thought he died, and I was like, okay, he's dead now. Oh my God, that's tragic. Goodbye, Rocky. And then like there was this whole emotional scene of him doing the dance moves and saying goodbye, and I was like, okay, now he's finally gone. Like, bye, Rocky. And then like he just kept coming back, and I'm like, it's sort of, I don't know, dilutes it a little bit. I'm not necessarily criticizing it, but I kept being like, oh, okay, so we haven't said goodbye to Rocky.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, reading the book, I was never convinced that Rocky was going to die there.
Okay.
I don't think I had that. I think what that really did for me was put into perspective or show just what their relationship was, right? And what Rocky meant to Grace, someone who was alone on Earth and now has like the Prince song in the trailer kind of clued us into. He has someone to die for now, right?
Yes, right. Yeah. Oh yeah, and sorry, I mean something I forgot to mention. Just I think this was like right at the beginning of the film. Did you notice the Miriam Makeba song, Pata Pata?
Yeah.
I was tapping all my friends in the cinema like, this is South African. Oh my God.
Yeah. It was such a random bit.
It was so random. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
Yeah. What a great song.
Absolutely.
I was so happy to hear it as well. Yeah.
Me too. I was like jiving in the cinema.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
Oh yeah. But so Grace and Rocky have said goodbye and gone their separate ways, and the fuel shuts off. Obviously, Grace is able to go back home from the suicide mission because Rocky has given him all this fuel, which was a lovely moment.
Absolutely, very lovely moment.
So I thought Grace made peace with it. He's crying. It's like, that's just something you say, buddy.
Yeah, I didn't mean any of it,
man. But he realizes that in breeding nitrogen-resistant Taumiba, that they've also bred Taumiba that can move through the molecular lattices of xenonite. Right? And there was the way that it's written in the book is really great, where you're like, it is a bit like like atomic structure is like a jungle. Like you can go through it.
Yes, you just have to figure out.
It's kind of thick and there's a lot of obstacles. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I also heard that it's because apparently, it's in a xenonite container filled with nitrogen, and obviously nitrogen kills it or whatever.
Yeah.
So it would rather be in the xenonite than in the nitrogen. So that's how it learns how to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was because they didn't really explain that in the movie. One of the people I was watching with told me that. I thought that was good explanation. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is another part where I kind of want to do kind of book versus film. So in the book, it's like, oh my God, there's Taumiba everywhere. What am I going to do? And he's able to stop the spread and get rid of the xenonite containers that have it, and so it's fine. And he's just about got enough fuel to make it back still. Right. And then after the problem is solved, you're like, oh, thank God. And then even as a reader, before like the book got there, I was like, wait, Rocky. And then you read a little bit more, and then Grace is like, wait, Rocky, his whole ship is made of xenonite.
Right, yeah.
In the film, it's like, okay, we have this infestation, it's solved, but Rocky's in danger, and now I'm going to go get him. It's very quick.
Right.
And I think obviously the big thing of this whole story, I think, is the fact that he goes back to save Rocky and to save his planet.
Yes.
But his decision to go back.
I thought, because, when Rocky got out of his ball to save Grace's ship and everything, and I thought he had died. I thought that already at that point that was going to happen. I thought, okay, Rocky's dead. No one can take, because he was like, save Earth, save Eridani or whatever.
Yeah.
Or Erid. And And I was like, okay, so there's no way that he can save Erod without Grace actually going there. So I thought at that point he was going to send home the probes and go to Erod himself. But then obviously Rocky comes alive, blah, blah, blah. And then in the end, he did that anyway, right? It sort of still went to Erod on the human ship.
But in the film, it's played more as like an inevitability. Like, of course he's going to go back. And we get what must have been a very expensive Beatles song. You never use those, right? You never hear them in films.
No.
They play
very expensive. Yeah.
Two of Us by the Beatles, and it's I don't know. I got so like stirred by it. I was like, these are my boys, you know. The two of us going nowhere, right?
These are my boys. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And they reunite, and then the film, the story in both mediums ends with Grace now having a life on Rocky's home planet. He lives in a kind of biodome and teaches...
which I was very confused with at first. I was like, wait, what planet are they on? You know, and then obviously they zoom out, and I'm like, hectic noise. Yeah,
because obviously on Rocky's planet, I don't know if you got this, but there's no visible light whatsoever. The atmosphere is so thick, radiation whatsoever comes in. So they never even evolved even the mildest bit of radiation resistance, and that's what killed the 23 crewmates.
Right. I mean, that would also make sense. That's why they didn't know about radiation. Okay, I didn't even get that.
They just didn't know about it. Yeah.
Right, but I mean that would also make sense. You know, not just we don't have any light, so we don't evolve visible sight, but instead we evolve echolocation, because in a denser atmosphere that's even more effective, right? Because in our sort of atmosphere, echolocation is limited, but already in water, for like dolphins, it's much more, you've got a much higher resolution and stuff because it's a denser material.
Resolution.
So absolutely. So in a denser atmosphere, you once again have a higher resolution because of the density. So I love that whole explanation. I didn't get it from the movie, but
there are lots of bits in the book that are really fun of Rocky's astonishment at our biology.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Right. You sense with light. You can't even like comprehend it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I also love. I mean, one of my. I would love to maybe do this book on the podcast one day. One of my favorite, very old, very classic sci-fi books by E. Doc Smith, The Skylark of Space, written in like the 1920s or 30s or something. It's got a similar concept to this, is that they go and meet some alien species or whatever, and they can't eat their food or whatever, so they bring out their own food, and the main character like salts his food. He puts some salt on the food. And all the aliens are like, holy shit. Because like salt is not only the most valuable thing on their planet, and this is more than exists on the entire solar system, but it's also extremely toxic to them, right? They're like, you eating this stuff? So like I thought the idea, you know, that Rocky oxidizes and burns in atmosphere, and now he's gone and met this alien who lives in an oxygen atmosphere. I mean, it must have been like, oh my God, you know, he lives in oxygen, for heaven's sake, you know? So I love that idea where it's sort of, it's not only different, it's the most inconceivable material possible, you know, that is necessary for our lives.
Yeah. In this part of the film, I think there's a genuine mistake in the storytelling here.
Okay.
Because the option of going back to Earth on the Hail Mary is presented to Dr. Grace.
Okay.
And in the book, he doesn't take it because he's old. He's like in his late 50s, and he's like, would I even survive it? Is it worth it? 4 years in a coma.
Okay.
Obviously, the time dilation there.
Yes, I want to speak about that.
4 years in a coma, is it really worth it? I don't have anyone there. And Rocky does tell him in the book, like, oh, by the way, we saw your sun regain its full brightness. so it worked. So Grace does get that piece of like, oh, thank God. Do I want to go back? Like, I don't really have anything to help them with, and
Okay.
I'm quite old now.
Right.
And I just thought that, like, like a 40-year-old Ryan Gosling, like in the peak of his physical powers,
Yes.
would decide to stay there. I didn't buy it.
Yeah, I
I
also
thought it
didn't
was an
quite
error.
buy it. Yeah.
And I get it. Like, these guys are best friends, but like, it's not your home.
No, exactly. And I mean, the one thing I was also wondering is like with a much denser atmosphere, the gravity on that planet must be quite a bit more as well. I would reckon it's at least twice as much as Earth. I'm not sure. I think they might mention it in the book. Gravity being higher. Okay, no, but with a denser atmosphere, because ammonia is not inherently denser. I think it probably is a little bit, but it's not like an extremely dense material or anything. In order for it to be dense, you need a high gravity planet. So I think just existing on that planet for Grace would be extremely exhausting. Right? Like, I don't think he would just be like happy-go-lucky walking along the shore, everything. I think it would be quite taxing for him. So yeah, I also didn't quite buy it. If I'm honest, I was looking forward to a bit of a tragic ending, right? I thought in some way, some tragedy was going to happen, like Rocky was going to die, or Grace was going to sacrifice himself, or whatever. And like in the end, it was sort of just like, and now they live happily ever after, and he's teaching a whole lot of little rock kids, right? Like,
yeah. I mean,
okay.
I like it. It's fun.
I don't hate it. It's just sort of all right.
Yeah, I just the decision not to go back bugs me, given that he's physically able to. It's that he's older where I buy it. Like, okay, you're 58. Like, come on, are you going to sit in a coma for 4 years? Nah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, I was actually thinking, reading it, I was like, okay, the ending we're going to get here is he's going to drop Rocky off, and he's going to slowly, suffocate himself on the Hail Mary in orbit or something like that, right?
Yeah.
I felt like that's where we're headed.
I thought somehow one of them was going to sacrifice themselves for the other.
Yeah, but like, I don't know how successful this is if you do that, if you end on a downer.
No, true.
I mean, like I said, it's a blockbuster book, right? So you kind of have to.
You kind of want that warm ending at the end.
Yeah, exactly. I want to talk a little bit about the flashbacks. We kind of skipped over.
Okay.
Them.
Yeah.
In the books, the flashbacks are like in continuity. Grace is remembering them, so he wakes up and he remembers, oh, I'm a school teacher,
right?
And he potters around on the ship a little bit more. Oh, Earth is in serious trouble. That must be why I'm here. Wait, why did they choose me? Let me go around the ships more. Oh, I'm a molecular biologist.
Right.
And that's never done in the film.
Right. Yeah.
And
I mean, I sort of got that. I got that was the intention, but I felt like the character of Grace didn't change once he knew like, I was like, okay, does he know this information now? Like once we had the flashback, he didn't act any differently necessarily after that flashback.
I mean, there's a huge thing in the book where when he remembers that Strat drugged him to put him on the ship.
Okay, yeah.
And he comes out of the flashback and he's like, wow, I'm a coward, actually. I'm not this, Rocky's been calling me brave and, Grace Rocky heroes or whatever.
Okay, that's really fascinating.
Like, I'm actually a coward. And there's a bit more of an arc with that. I found the flashbacks a little bit slippery here, just in their kind of connectivity. Definitely stronger in the first half.
Right. Yes.
I love the kind of discovery of the astrophage and working in the lab and working with Carl.
Yeah, me too. I love that as well. I gotta love Carl. Yeah.
A really exciting
There's
presentation.
definitely going to be some fan fiction of Grace and Carl, isn't there?
Oh no. what you do on your own time away from the pod is
Yeah, don't mix work and pleasure. Yeah.
but yeah, I love the the way that the process is presented as something that's like taxing and arduous and full of failure and
Right,
accidental. I mean, you mentioned this on a different episode we did where it's the big phrase in science is not eureka,
Yes.
it's that's interesting, or
That's weird. Yeah, why is that happening?
exactly. I mean, and that's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's done here, like when he's just messing around with the astrophage, and then he sees a
Yes.
fourth one, of course, and knows how to breathe.
Yeah, because I mean, I also don't know what he actually did, but he was trying to probe these things, and then suddenly it worked, and he's like, "Oh my god, now it's worked!" And like,
Yeah.
that sort of was quite reminiscent of real science. It's like you try everything that's logical, and then suddenly you're like, "Oh, what?" I mean, I also absolutely loved the moment later in the film where he's like, righty loosey, lefty tighty, boom. After he's tried absolutely everything, it's like, what an idiot.
Yeah. And this is my biggest kind of, I can take all the science and all the science fiction, but the one thing I struggle with just in the story, in whatever format it's presented to me, is the figure of Eva Straat, right? Who's Dutch.
Okay.
I've tried my best. Please.
Right, yeah.
She's
Cool.
Dutch in the book and German in the film.
Okay.
And the idea of international cooperation on such a level, I can't get past it. And I get
most unrealistic part, yeah.
yeah, and I get it's the point of the story is to show that like this is what we're capable of if we all work together. But
Yeah.
maybe a few more hurdles,
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes. It wouldn't just be like, right, let's put aside all of our differences.
Yeah,
No,
and
it
let's
would
have
be
one
like,
person with absolute power.
I mean, I think a better example was in Contact, right? Where they were all like, yeah, let's work together. But actually the US was doing their own secret little thing on the side. I reckon that would be what would actually happen in reality.
Yeah,
every nation would
still
be trying to get an advantage.
Yeah, and people are still, careerists and looking out for themselves and everything.
Yeah.
I get functionally what
Yes.
what this is trying to do and thematically what it's trying to say, but it is I don't know, in 2026 I don't buy it. I don't buy it so easily.
Yeah, it's like the worst possible time to sell us that concept. Yeah, it's like, nope, not gonna work. Yeah.
But I enjoyed the chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Sandra Hüller.
Yes.
She has a wonderful German way about her. This is my mental picture of like German sense of humor.
Right.
Just completely literal at all points.
Yes.
Permission to come aboard, Captain. You were already on board.
Absolutely, yeah. No, completely.
But like I said, I think in the second half, the flashbacks start to get in the way a little bit.
Yes,
you have one side of the film is like Rocky is this all-time alien creature in science fiction, and then the other side you're like building up to the launch, but you're like, I know he gets in there. So
yes. So just get to the point now. Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything more to say about the flashbacks.
No, probably not anything about the flashbacks. No.
All right. I mean, I guess we can move into final thoughts then.
Yeah. I mean, something I just wanted to say, which I should have probably said earlier, is I thought it was, I thought the moment when Grace first spots Rocky's ship and then he gets into the tunnel and everything, this was all terrifying, right? Like as a viewer, I sort of felt that fear. I'm like, oh my God, imagine you were in space and you actually see another ship and you're like, for heaven's sake. And then it like sends messages and it builds a tunnel and everything. You're like, shit, do I get into this dark tunnel and go there and everything? So it's all like terrifying. And I was at that stage, I was sort of dreading, because going into this movie, I had no idea what the plot was, right? And I'm like,
You
he's
didn't know
gonna
about
meet
Rocky?
an alien. No, I didn't know anything. I
Wow.
don't watch trailers. I mean, I normally don't watch movie trailers or anything. I knew
Wow.
that Ryan Gosling's in space. I had no idea what was happening.
I mean,
So
that
I
is
was like,
that is a sharp turn from what you might picture the film as if you don't know about Rocky.
okay, right.
I'm
Yeah,
just
exactly. So,
imagining like yeah, but yeah, go on.
I mean, I was imagining something more like The Martian, where it's very realistic.
Yeah,
And suddenly I was like, oh no, there's actually going to be an alien in this film. And you know, in like 2001 and Interstellar and everything, there's always that moment where you think you're going to meet aliens and then they don't actually show them to you. And I always love that concept because I'm like, yeah, exactly. Don't show us the aliens. I think that works better. And so I was dreading the moment because I'm like, oh no, he's going to actually meet this alien. And it's just going to be like some normal alien or whatever. And I was surprised and relieved by meeting an alien because it was not what I was expecting. I mean, firstly, I loved the fact that this was a depiction of cooperation between
Yes.
two new species, you know,
Yes.
and not extremely idyllic like it is in Star Trek. Sort of more, you know, nitty gritty and difficult, but clearly both of you want to achieve something and you're both willing to help each other. So I think I was dreading when I realized, oh, it's about aliens. I was dreading it a little bit, but it absolutely did not end up that way for me. I was very pleasantly surprised with the depiction of the alien, with the interaction of it, and also the sort of relief, I suppose, because I was like scared. I was like, oh my God, imagine meeting an alien ship and everything. And then it was scary because you see the little tap and you're like, oh my God, there's an actual alien and whatever. And then like eventually you realize, okay, no, but we're both here for the same thing. So like, let's just get over it. I did love that about it.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said there. Obviously, I knew going
Yeah.
into the story because the trailer came out months ago and they did show the alien, which I thought was an error at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
Because I was like,
Yeah. Because
why
obviously
would
you building up to that. Yeah.
why would you? You know, you're giving away your big thing about the film. But then I softened on it and I came to realize like this is what is going to get families, young people. It's going to
Yeah.
get
And your girlfriend, right? Yeah.
exactly. It's going
Yeah.
to get everyone more excited about the film, and it is
Exactly.
really what the film is. It's the friendship and collaboration
Yes.
between the two of them, and obviously it's the film's strongest point. I mean, I just absolutely love their dynamic. I love Rocky.
Yeah.
I buy every bit of their friendship. I buy that he
Yeah.
would go back and save him.
Exactly. It's not strained. It's not forced or anything
No,
like
never.
that.
Yeah.
It's completely believable. Yeah.
And as a whole, I thought the film was obviously visually stunning. Everything in space looked fantastic, and it makes me wonder about Lord and Miller because I don't know if you know, but they were fired from the Solo movie, the Han Solo film.
Oh no.
So they shot a good decent chunk of it and then were asked to leave the project because the artistic visions didn't align. If you read between the lines there, that means that they put too much comedy in it.
Okay.
It does make me wonder what that film would have been like. But I'm happy to see. I'm happy to see them working in this area in big budget science
Yeah.
fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, visually stunning. And I thought my biggest concern obviously was the comedy that it would create,
Yes.
and
Yes.
for the most part, it hit. I thought Ryan Gosling's physical comedic performance,
Yes.
bumping around in zero G and having a hapless spacewalk,
Yeah.
was really fantastic. and some of the I put the knot in astronauts. You know,
Yes. You would
can
think that doesn't land. but like somehow it does, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
his delivery is so good
exactly. Yeah,
that it works.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think the film's weakness is in the second half with the flashbacks because they start to feel kind of
Right.
paint by numbers. We have
Right.
to get through it.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that in the years to come, in the decades to come, I think this film is going to have a place as a family classic. Maybe not
Yeah.
in the ET Back to the Future tier, but maybe in the tier below that. I think this is going to have a really high rewatchability factor.
I think so.
I think parents are going to be showing it to their kids for
Yeah.
years to come, and I'm like, as someone who really cares about cinema, that an original science fiction idea done at a big budget level is so well
Yes.
received
Yes.
critically and by audiences, and is financially very successful is it's very heartening to me.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm very excited going forward because it looks like Lord and Miller are going to adapt Andy Weir's third book, Artemis.
Oh yes, Artemis. Because I knew he had a third one. I couldn't remember what it
Yeah,
was.
which
Yeah.
I believe is a heist story on a moon colony.
Okay. Cool.
So
Nice.
we'll see about that. Obviously, I'm going to read that at some point. But
Right.
yeah. So for you, best and worst science moment then?
Yeah, so best and worst science moment. So I've tried to save these, not talk about them until now. Best science moment, which sort of a little bit two things to speak about here. Firstly, I mean, the sort of idea, the way that we do space travel now is most of the time you ignite the engine at a certain point in the journey, and then you actually turn it off and you just let the spacecraft continue, because in space you don't have any air resistance. So once you get it moving, it's just going to carry on moving. It'll move at hundreds of kilometers per second without any force, right? So immediately in the movie, I saw them, they turn off the engine at some stage while they're nearing the star, and I'm like, well, they shouldn't have had the engine on in the first place. Like, why the hell do they have the engine on? But so this was something which I was thinking, I'm like, I think this is going to be a problem. But they sort of explained it better, is that this is a constant acceleration ship, right? So it's constantly accelerating because they have this miracle fuel astrophage. So they can, because at the moment, the reason we do that is not because it's the best way to travel in space, but because you can't carry an infinite amount of fuel.
Yeah.
You have to have a certain amount of fuel, so you don't use the engine when you don't need to. Whereas here, if you constantly accelerate, you can accelerate very close to the speed of light. And that's obviously, because then the other problem, which I was like, oh, this is a problem again, but they then addressed it. I love it when sci-fi does that, where there's something which I'm like, not going to work, and then they actually address it, and I'm like, oh yes, please. Is the time dilation, as you mentioned, because they very clearly established that it's 11 light years away from Earth, communication time, and then suddenly he's like, oh no, 4-year journey back, and I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense, does it? And I'm like, oh my God, they're actually paying attention to time dilation. So on Earth, the journey is 11 years, give or take. But for him, it's only 4 years because he experiences less time. The one thing that I was unsure about this is like, okay, but then why does he have to go into cryosleep? 4 years is not that bad. But apparently it's got more to do with the way that the crew would interact on a 4-year journey.
Yeah, Strat in the book was like, all studies showed that they would kill each other within 2 years.
Right.
So we have to put them in a coma.
I love that explanation, because I was also like, you can put someone on a spacecraft for 4 years. I mean, it doesn't matter. But that's a perfect explanation again. So I love that whole explanation, that you've got a constant acceleration ship traveling at relativistic speeds, so that the time dilation actually matters, where the occupants experience less time than the observers. And my my final criticism was even addressed with the cryosleep. So that whole science aspect there, I absolutely love that, because it's very easy for science fiction to just ignore time dilation, right? It's either warp travel or
Yeah.
or hyperspace, or even if you don't go into any of that, you're just like, okay, yeah, but it's fine. They don't experience time dilation. We'll just forget about it. But this film definitely lent into it and adopted it. So I really love that.
Well, there are two things there. Sorry, I want to jump in on.
Yeah, no, go
So
for it.
it's I thought it was really neat in the book. This is I'm not sure if it's in the film. When Grace wakes up and he experiences 1.5 Gs, right, which he realizes that there's a pen that's falling off the desk a little too fast, and he repeats
Okay.
it a bunch of times and times it and takes the average time and compares it to 9.8 meters per second.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is wrong. And that's when he realizes that he's on a spaceship. It's not when he looks out the window. But obviously, if you're watching a film, you look out the window, you get a beautiful shot, right? That's why you do that.
That's interesting, yeah.
But why he's experiencing 1.5 Gs is that he's actually facing away from Tau Ceti and decelerating. And I was like, oh, that's so
fantastic.
neat.
Fantastic. Right, yeah,
Because
exactly.
He's still going towards it, but the force that's being acted against him is creating 1.5 Gs. I was just like, that's so neat. You never see that.
No, because you see, actually, I mean, I've just thought about that now, is that in the film, they switch off the engine and then there's just zero gravity and then he's at the planet, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but you were traveling at relativistic speeds. What the hell happened?
But
yeah, okay, that would make sense.
Yeah. It was a scheduled wake up from the computer.
Right.
And the other thing is
That's
that
fantastic.
Rocky's species doesn't know about relativity. So there's a great interaction in the book where Rocky's like, by the way, like, why was my journey so quick? You know, I didn't think we could travel faster than the speed of light, but obviously we did.
Okay.
And then Grace is like, oh wait, they don't understand relativity. This is, how the hell did they get into space in the first
Yeah,
place?
because that's what I was thinking. I was like, how do you get to that point if you don't understand relativity? But that's interesting that
because they can't see into space, they never had a need to look at it.
That's fantastic.
And then only when they had the astrophage problem did they have a need to develop interstellar space travel.
Wow.
And they just never had a need.
They can't
a
see,
need to,
yeah, because I mean, relativity is all based on the speed of light.
Yeah.
Right. So if you can't see the speed of light, then it's far less obvious to you. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. Wow.
And just, I mean, this is kind of unrelated, but just one thing about Rocky. So his species uses base 6 mathematics, and
because he's got 6 fingers.
Yeah, but he's able to convert to base 10. So there's a lot of stuff where he's like, where he's speaking in like 40 years Earth time or whatever, and he can do the quick conversion. And Grace thinks that, oh, you're much smarter than me because you can do maths. It's like, maths is just procedure, and memory is just storage, right? So we're actually of similar intelligence,
right?
And that 40 years figure, by the way, is how long Rocky was there alone, with no one watching him sleep before Grace got there.
No, don't tell me this.
So. Obviously this is not how relativity works, but Rocky was there before Grace was born, I believe. If you kind of go back far enough, wide enough, and take a wider view of things,
no ways. Okay.
But yeah, your worst science moment then.
Yeah, I mean, the worst science moment, I will accept that I stand to correction here, because I tried to figure this out, but I haven't quite figured it out completely. Is I was trying to figure out the exact positions of all these places, because the stars that they use are real, right? Tau Ceti is in Cetus, and Erid is in Eridanus.
Sorry, one thing there.
Yeah.
I learned from the book, because they're talking about all these stars, I learned that Wolf 359 is actually a real star, and not...
Oh, is it really?
It's not
I
just
didn't know
where
that.
the Borg battle was in Star Trek.
Oh,
It's
snap.
around
Okay.
there. It's in that little neighborhood. Yeah.
Okay, no ways. I mean, I know there are stars called Wolf. I didn't know there was one specifically called that. Oh, no
Yeah.
ways. That's
I was
cool.
reading the book. I was like, wait, that's where Locutus was, and yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, well, I mean, so exact same thing here is these are real stars, all within sort of traveling distance if you've got relativistic speeds. The only thing that I thought was the case, and which I've sort of seen, is that, I mean, if you imagine Earth at like the center, um, what's it? Tau Ceti is to the west, all right? Just call it west.
yeah.
And Erid is to the east from Earth, okay?
Okay.
So they're in opposite directions, if you know what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
and not quite opposite, they're sort of slightly triangular. So they both sort of, if you were just standing on Earth looking forward, you know, just try and simplify things, Tau Ceti would be towards your left, in front of you, and Erid would be towards your right. But it's definitely the fact that Earth is halfway between these two planets. It's just slightly a slight detour. And the way that I sort of understood it is that Grace obviously discovers that the astrophage can move through xenonite fairly early in the journey. So he wouldn't have been that far away from Rocky.
It's
So I
Amoeba.
still-
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, the
Yeah.
Tau Amoeba. Yeah, sorry.
I was getting confused. Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, I still, I mean, I was first trying to work out whether or not it would be possible, because I would have assumed that Erid was in a completely different direction. And like, if you've already started accelerating that much, can you actually slow down and turn around and go and rescue Rocky in time? But then I realized that, yeah, it's actually sort of along the same path. And so, I don't know, I sort of, that kind of makes me wonder, like, okay, but could he have gone and rescued Rocky and then still gone home, refueled, and then carried on with Rocky? Like the whole sort of, you know, it's not necessarily a plot hole, and I might be wrong about this, but the fact that they chose those specific star systems, you know, if they'd chosen one which is in the complete opposite direction of Earth, then obviously that makes the choice immediate. But the fact that it's sort of along the way, I was like, this isn't quite, I don't think this is quite so much a binary choice. Like, do I go
Yeah.
back to Earth or do I go and save Rocky? Not too sure about that. But that's sort of
Yeah.
reminiscent
Yeah, I
little
mean,
bit
in the
of
film-
James Cameron with his Night Sky, right?
It is done like when they say goodbye, like the ships go like opposite directions, right?
Exactly.
Just another thing for the book is like all the numbers are there in the book. It's like, I have this much
Okay.
astrophage, it can give me this much energy for this long, which
Yeah.
means that I can travel this far,
Oh, no
right?
ways.
So everything is defined in very clear terms.
Yeah.
So you understand, like, okay, if he stops and gets rid of the Tau Amoeba and accelerates again, he just about gets to Earth. So turning
Okay.
around is right. It's either or. It's a binary choice, like you said.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe that's a point of the film where if they just had the kind of the hard data a little
Right.
more upfront, and you would
Yes.
be like,
yes.
you would understand it more quickly, I guess.
Yes. Because, yeah, I mean, I realized that, okay, even if it's the same direction, once he goes and rescues Rocky, Rocky's ship is now compromised, right? So
Yeah.
you can only still go to one place, but like, it's still sort of a lot, like, it just makes me think, right? It just
Yeah.
makes me think that, like, yeah, I don't know, there might have been a different way to do this. Like, it wasn't, if it was, okay, I've got to stop, decelerate, turn around and go in completely the opposite direction to Earth, then yeah, it's an easy choice. But because of those specific stars that they chose, I'm like, I wonder if there's if there is a way to poke holes in this. I just you know, since they chose very specific real stars, I was
Yeah.
like, I think you could have chosen
You
another
can
one.
check it. Yeah.
That you just choose another one, which makes it absolutely impossible. But like, then again, maybe that's why he chose it, because if he'd chosen another one, then he wouldn't have had enough astrophage to decelerate, accelerate again, and actually get to Rocky.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe he has thought about this. So
You need to ask him one day.
Exactly. I definitely.
The choice of
This
stars.
is exactly. Yeah. We need to have him on the pod one day, right? But yeah, I've had a few hours to think about this. I will definitely go and watch this movie again when it's out on streaming or whatever. I think it's Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll definitely watch it a few more times, and I'll probably read the book as well and get into the science a lot more. Yeah.
Very nice. Can I give my best science moment?
Yes, please.
Not that it's my segment, but it's not really a moment. I really enjoyed the depiction of science as something that's fun and exciting and collaborative. There's always, even in the flashback, there's always multiple people working on a variety of problems and issues, and they're all collaborating and talking to each other. And
that's a fantastic point.
I would not be surprised at all if you're seeing undergrad students in 10, 15 years coming through, and they're talking about Project Hail Mary as a starting point for them. I really think this is such a lovely, fun and exciting depiction of science. As someone who's not a scientist,
but that's an absolutely great
jealous.
take.
It makes me a little jealous. Like, oh man, I could have an alien best friend. And do problems together.
Do work on science together. Yeah, no, but I mean that's a fantastic point, because I mean, the classic science story is Albert Einstein, who did kind of do a lot of his stuff by himself. He was this genius who that's why he's so applauded, because he did a lot of stuff by himself, and Isaac Newton as well. But most people in science throughout history, and even more so today, it's all collaborative. We often champion the one person, like right at the head of the project, but there's always collaboration. Even with Newton, even with Einstein, there is still collaboration. It's never done in isolation. And yeah, especially in the modern day science world. I mean, with my research at the moment, if I was working by myself, I wouldn't be able to do anything. I have no idea how to do anything. It's only with the other people in my research group that I'm even able to get to any point of understanding in this. It almost sort of feels like, am I doing the research, or who's doing the research? Like there's not one person doing it. So fantastic point. I love that.
Yeah, I think that's a good note to end on then.
Yeah, I reckon.
Somewhat hopeful note, I guess, that this movie leaves us with, that there is Ryan Gosling has been saying this a lot in interviews, why he likes the material, why he was drawn to this. He said, okay, the future is not, it presents the future as not something that is scary, but maybe just as a problem to be solved.
Okay, nice.
Right. And I really love the framing of that. And yeah, some of the stuff is clunky about world politics and everything, but there is a hopeful note there about collaboration, putting differences aside, and getting the job done, doing some science.
And I mean, I prefer it, like, rather give me unrealistic collaboration than just, this is just NASA, doing it. Like, it's just the US. We've seen that before. It's just NASA. It's the easy way out. Whereas this is like, no, the nations of the world have come together. Maybe unrealistically, but you're actually paying attention to that for a change.
Yeah, that's true. So that was Project Hail Mary from Lord and Miller. And yeah, thank you as always for listening and watching. Wherever you are, like, comment, subscribe, do what you have to do. It helps us grow, of course. And as always, we will be back next week, where we will be discussing the classic anime sci-fi Akira, which is a first-time watch for Titan, I believe. We'll see how that goes.
Exactly.
But yeah, thanks as always, and live long and prosper.